Right, on to this now. So South Africa's case at the International Court of Justice has received a financial boost over the passing, after the passing of the Special Appropriation Bill by the National Council of Provinces. The draft law will see additional funding of 40 million rand for the Department of International Relations and Cooperation and 38.2 million rand for the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. To tell us more, we are joined by NCOP chairperson. Madam Chair is Refilwe Mtsweni-Tsipane. Good evening to you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for giving us your time. I can imagine a busy schedule and speaking to us so late at night, but this is such an important move here. And I don't want to take for granted that our viewers really understand what this Special Appropriation Bill means and what it will do. So can we start there to the everyday South African?
No, thank you very much. Good evening to yourself and as well as the listeners at home. And thank you for having us. Indeed, as the NCOP, we've just passed the appropriation bill, which is in line with the Section 213, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which provides that money may be withdrawn from the National Revenue Fund only in terms of the appropriation by the Act of Parliament. And therefore, the Special Appropriation Bill was then tabled by the Minister of Finance on the 30th of October during the tabling of the 2024 medium-term budget policy statement, and it was therefore referred to NCOP and the committee for concurrence on the 5th of December 2024 after it was passed by the National Assembly. And therefore, expectation thereof from us was that, one, we consult with the public in general through various provinces so that we can get their views around the proposals that have been made, and before we could adopt the appropriation bill. And indeed, that has since happened. We have since sent out the emails to various stakeholders, strategic stakeholders that have had the view around the appropriation bill. One amongst those stakeholders speaks to the COSATU as well as the organization Undoing Tax Abuse. We've had their views, and they've also welcomed the bill, in particular its allocation of the additional 38 million rand to the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development to fund the International Court of Justice case in defense of the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people to be protected from genocide. And therefore they've applauded the appropriation as the good move that the government has taken, and also in line with the 5 billion of the settlement of the GFIP e-toll debt, which will then be split between national government, and also the portion thereof will be coming direct from the provincial government of Gauteng.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and I think we'll get to the allocation for e-tolls in a moment, but I'm keen to hear, just if we crunch the numbers here, Chair, the bill, of course, looking at giving 17.3 million rand to the presidency, 38.2 million for the Department of Justice, as well as 40 million for the Department of International Relations and Cooperation in this matter with the ICJ. How do we come to these numbers? Because I immediately think, okay, well, we can see the visibility certainly of DIRCO and the visibility of the Department of Justice, but 17 million rand for the presidency, why?
Well, you would recall that the presidency is quite central on the issue of international relations, and therefore they are the one that they assist with that responsibility in ensuring, particularly the International Court of Justice. It was an initiative by a South African government out of consent that we note the genocide that's been done against the people of Palestine. And as a result of that, as initiators, we had to fit the bill in terms of the costs and the expenditures thereof. And that is still ongoing. But over and above the South Africa, there are other countries that have joined in, which will be assisting in making sure that the costs that are borne out of that case are being spread across by all the interested countries in this regard. As South Africa, indeed, through the Office of the Presidency, an allocation was given precisely to deal with those issues through the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. As you have correctly indicated, the figures thereof that is associated with the legal proceedings against Israel in the International Court of Justice, which then saw the Department of Justice receiving 38.2 million rand, and as well as the International Court of Justice will cost us about 38.2 million rand, as well as 40 million rand, which was appropriated to the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, and 17.4 to the presidency, precisely to look at the legal costs and other logistical arrangement pertaining to the CIJ court proceeding.
Chairperson, if you could just give us more details, and I think this is obviously important for transparency. The number where the allocation for, to pay the debt related to e-tolls in Gauteng. Am I correct to say that's 5.1 billion rand, quickly?
The number, yes, I think it's about 5.1 billion. And if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember precisely what is an allocation, what is the split between the national government, Department of Transport, as well as the Gauteng department. I think Gauteng will be co-funding to a tune of about 1.9 billion, if I'm not mistaken, and the remaining thereof will be funded through the Department of Transport.
Yeah, because, and the reason why I ask, Chair, is because there obviously is going to be some questions.
Sorry, I think, yes, I'm sorry, just to get in, I think the redemption amount that will be appropriated it would be to the tune of 3.8 billion coming from the Gauteng department, from our national government. They will co-fund with about 1.2 billion rand through the Department of Transport.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for those numbers, because they're so important, Chair, because obviously the question may, for many, be, well, can the Gauteng government afford 3.8 billion rand, right? Some of the concerns perhaps that may be raised is really what the balance sheet in your understanding is looking like for Gauteng. You've got just 2 weeks ago, for instance, the finance MEC Maile saying they've adjusted the budget with 2.1 billion. But then, of course, assuring residents and workers that they will not be cutting jobs. So, I mean, any concerns there about the affordability for the Gauteng government, especially when you look at, as we get lower down the strata of government structures, you've got some serious financial issues there.
Well, you would recall that obviously when a decision was taken, it was a joint decision that was taken between the Department of Gauteng, of Transport in Gauteng, as well as the National Department of Transport. And ever since then, discussion continued as to how the logistics are going to be arranged between both Gauteng province as well as national. And as a result of that, we've just been through the adjustment budget for the 2024. Obviously, during the adjustment, that's when the minister considered the proposals that were made by the Department of Gauteng and as well as the Department of Transport. Hence, they came with an affordable amount at this point in time of about 5 billion rand. So this money definitely it's cash backed. This for this particular project, it is a cash back project which will be realized within this medium, the adjustment period before we go into the main appropriation around April next year. So definitely, hence, as the NCOP, we were giving them a green light based on the priorities and the pressures that they were encountering, and as well as the commitment that they have made to offset such debt as they had. Those redemption had to be dealt with and be sorted out. So this is the way in which the Department of National Treasury, as well as Gauteng, saw it fit during this adjustment to start addressing those debt redemptions.
Yeah, well, Chair, we really do appreciate your time, really breaking down the data and the direction of this Special Appropriation Bill. Mtsweni-Tsipane there, the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, speaking to us.